The BIPOC Coach Collective proudly presents Elevate and Celebrate. This is a podcast to showcase our members, dive deeper into their journeys, and express who they are into the world. Our mission is to curate a brave and authentic space for coaches to connect and to elevate our voices globally in the coaching profession. Learn more about us at bipoccc.org. Your story matters, your voice matters. Let's start the show. Hey, this is Alex Tumas, Vice President of the BIPOC Coach Collective, and welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Elevate and Celebrate. I'm joined with Cassandra Hill. She is a life coach, she is a speaker, she is a best-selling author, and she is someone who has experienced many challenges from the loss of a child to a health scare and chronic pain, and finding a way through to be resilient, to share her message from stages to help and empower Black women with their health journeys and also just their own mindset challenges and opportunities. So I think you're going to have a wonderful time tapping into this episode. We connected through Black Speakers Network, so shout out to that organization for this partnership we've been working on, and I'm excited for you to hear what she's got to say, and the for our public, for our fans, followers, just know that this is the last month we're gonna have an open house, right? We're off for the summer, so July, August, more than likely not. If we do, it'd be like a pop-up thing, but we like to model and practice what we preach as far as rest, rejuvenation, and that's going to happen on the 27th. So sign up for that on our website, bipoccc.org/events. And for our champion members, our paying champion members, we have a facilitation call next week. So tap in for that on the 13th. And now, all that said and done, enjoy the show. All right, welcome to this month's episode of Elevate and Celebrate. I'm here with our lovely guest, Cassandra Hill. Cassandra, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Alex.
Yes, yes, you're welcome. So let me give some people some background. If they missed the intro that I usually record, we're talking with a life coach. We're talking with a speaker. We're talking with an author. We're talking with someone who was recognized in 2024 as Black Woman Owned Brand of the Year by the I'm Loving Me Project. We're talking with somebody who's recognized by Women Business Global as a woman to watch in 2023. We're talking to somebody, right? I'm laying it on right now, who was a 2022 influential African American woman in business by Smart Woman Partner. Cassandra's been someone who's collaborated with Goldman Sachs, Nashville Voyager, Authority Magazine. She empowers Black women to live life on their own terms. So, Cassandra, how'd you do all that? How'd you pull that off?
I'm looking, I'm like, that's me. Number one, God, because
Mm,
I tell you, there is no way I could have achieved those things without God. For me, when you grow up and you have humble beginnings, first generation college student, first entrepreneur and everything, um, you really don't expect certain things to happen in your life, you know.
yeah.
You're just, and you've been told. I remember one teacher told me I was a freshman in high school, you're not college material.
Mm,
And I was sitting there and was an honor roll student, you know, but because of the skin I was in, um, and in my life, she thought I wasn't college material. So, this is a reminder to all the listeners, trust God, trust the process, and believe in yourself because the naysayers, they're going to think whatever they're going to think, but their thoughts don't define you. Your life is based on not what happens to you, but your response to it. Because that teacher, what that teacher told me, I could have been like, well, I'm not college
Mm.
material. So guess what? I won't even try. I'm just going to float through but no, even at that young age, I knew I wanted something different for myself. And it all starts here, mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, so for folks watching and listening, they're gonna notice a little bit of twang, right? And you mentioned humble beginnings, and we were talking off air. Right now, you're in Arkansas, so is that where you were born and raised? Like, kind of walk us
Yeah,
through your
yeah,
journey of
yeah.
how you became this honor roll student, how you developed this mindset of challenging really the status quo, right? This teacher, I don't know their motivations, I don't know their reasoning, their upbringing, their previous prejudices, whatever it might be, but they had their own limitations that they maybe try to impose on you, but you decided not to listen. So I'm interested in finding out like why? Why didn't you just accept that? Why push back? Maybe not against them, but within yourself, like, I know I can do more.
Yeah, I was born and raised here in Arkansas. My mother and dad had me fairly young, teen.
Mhm.
My mother was a teenager, and one of the things my parents always emphasized as I was growing up was the importance of education. And so I knew that education would be a way that I could open doors for myself. So I always took it seriously. Like once I got old enough to realize, like, oh, okay, this is something I should be invested in. So I always took it serious. I could say probably by the time I got to middle school, I was a really focused student. And looking at my environment, I'm like, okay, I see this, but I don't want this. So I know I have to do something different. I didn't completely understand what that different was, but thankfully, I always was a reader. I always loved reading. And so just through reading, and this is another nugget for you guys, let your imagination take you where you want to go. Whether it's through reading, listening to this podcast like you're already doing, but whatever you put in your mind, if you put it in there enough, that becomes your normal and your brain will start moving in that direction. It will automatically start shifting toward that being your reality. So for me, like I said, by the time I got to middle school, I'm like, okay, I know I want some type of career. I know I'm gonna have to go to college for that. So just started thinking about college. And by the time I got to high school, probably like my sophomore year, I started taking college courses. I'm like, okay, I could take at least like one course when I get out of school. I can do another course, and so from there it just kept growing, just based off what I was learning and trying to figure this thing out.
That's major. So you're in college, you're figuring things out, you have this imagination, this appetite for learning and growth. And I'd love to, fast forward along to finding coaching, right? To
Mhm.
this introduction to this world of self-help, personal transformation. So what was that like for you? Like when you got first introduced to coaching and why did it um, attract you and what made it stick with you?
Yeah. Well, when I first finished college, when I graduated with my master's, I entered corporate America. And for many people that look like you and I, we get in corporate and, we're excited because we're like, oh, yeah, I'm about to make some good money and
No.
I'm going to go all the way up and all those things. But what they don't tell you that you're expected to work so hard, like 10 times as hard to get those promotions and advance and all those things. So I did corporate for a little over a decade. And doing that was just so overwhelming, me neglecting my health, my well-being, that honestly my body forced me to exit from that. Um, Ended up having a complete shutdown with my body and was diagnosed with systemic lupus. And so once I got diagnosed, in the path of my own healing and wanting to improve my health and well-being, eventually I found myself back in college taking courses in alternative medicine, health and wellness, and developed a regimen that put me in remission.
That's beautiful.
And so once I entered remission, I knew it wasn't just for me. I'm like, there's no way God had me to go through all this just for me to heal myself and go back to what got me there in the first place. And so that was the beginning of me becoming an entrepreneur and deciding that, hey, this gift of healing I can share with others.
Uh, Thank you for sharing that story, and I love the hero's journey in that where you found this alternative that worked for you, and what does the hero do? They go back to try to help others, to educate and just give some exposure so people have at least another option, right? Apart from like the traditional take pills and hope for the best kind of deal, and or whatever whatever treatment plans look like that maybe are not as effective. Let's put it like that. And I just want to put this out there. I'm not a medical professional, so if you watch it and if you have an illness, contact your physician and
Mhm.
work those things out. But anyway, I just want to let that disclaimer before people are like, oh my goodness, Dr. Alex said not. Alex did not say that.
I'm not a doctor.
Mm.
As I mentioned, I do have a master's degree in gerontology, but I'm not a doctor. I co-signed Alex. What worked for me, I am a holistic health practitioner. I am a wellness coach. However, you do need to consult a healthcare professional before you're making any major changes in regard to your health and well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. So being that you work with you mentioned before that you work with women and support them. So walk us through like that journey with your clients of what they come to you for and what's that transformation like on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, now is so amazing to see the transition because when I first started this journey of entrepreneurship, most people came to me with weight loss, some type of chronic or autoimmune condition that they wanted reversed, and a lot of it was due to my own experience. So it's like, okay, I need a little of that. But as time went on, and we fast forward to the present moment, I see more women who are entrepreneurs, are in corporate America, many Black women who it's a challenge with just managing their emotional and mental well-being. They're stressed out, they're overwhelmed. And so we work on creating game-winning strategies to have that emotional and mental well-being in their life and still have that financial stability as well.
I love this. Now you mentioned fun name for me, right? Game winning. Like I like that. So what is that? You walk us through it, like what does that
Yeah.
mean to these particular women and their
Yeah.
journeys?
Yeah, it means, when we link up and we have our first introduction to one another, one-on-one, that I learn a whole lot about you. Get to learn your needs,
Hmm.
your desires. And as we do the work, I'm creating a plan that's going to address every concern or issue that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And even some of the things that you don't recognize and I see. And so when you walk away, you're a different person. You have changed. If you're an entrepreneur, your business more than likely has grown. One client comes to mind, and during our process together, she secured a contract with Google.
With what?
Google,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right. All
Google.
right.
What we do just about every day is Google something. But it looks different for each person because, like for her, that's a major transformation to say that you have had Google as a client. But
Yeah.
for another person, it may be that I'm not in a healthy relationship.
Ooh.
I'm in a toxic relationship. So doing the work to first learn to love yourself. And as you learn to love yourself, getting out that relationship. So it has meant that, after the coaching, you might have a relationship then. And,
Hmm.
and I've had that happen with clients as well. But it's all about becoming the best version of you.
Right. Yeah. And I love you to speak to that, especially with just the medical history of especially African American women in this country, right, who have healthcare has failed them to, like, let's just put it out there, right? Whether it's
Yeah,
been through mortality rates with pregnancy. I mean, just you can go across the board anywhere and kind of see where the lack of care or lack of in proper care and intention has been.
Mhm.
So can you walk me through that as far as what your focus is on and how you're supporting these women to reclaim their health and
Yeah,
like you said, it could be the emotional side, the personal side of releasing a relationship that's not serving them or
yeah,
uh, getting back on a healthier lifestyle. I don't like to say diet, but like a healthier lifestyle plan for themselves.
yeah. It starts with utilizing this voice, being your advocate, because as you mentioned, the healthcare system has failed us as Black women. There's just no denying that. And our voice isn't heard. I know with my own personal experience, just my journey of even being diagnosed with systemic lupus, I went so many years misdiagnosed because healthcare professionals wasn't listening to me and I was just expected to live in pain. And the transformation within yourself, it starts when you realize I have a voice and I'm going to utilize my voice until I get what I want, period. So that's a big focus. And then another thing that I emphasize that's really important is yeah, pay attention to nutrition. That's part of it. However, it's more than that. Because I know of females who are drinking the green smoothies and keep these water bottles
Yeah.
and all the things, and they're not healthy because the toxic things that they allow in their environment.
We'll say more to
You
that.
know,
Well, tell me more about.
whether it is what you're listening to,
Yeah.
what gets in here, what gets into the mind, your ears here gets into the mind, that affects your health.
Oh yeah.
If you're around what I call the Debbie Downers every day, guess what? It will impact your health. If you are even with skincare products, beauty products, if you're putting toxins into your body that way, it will impact you. So it's more than what we eat and drink. It's a holistic approach. It's the people you're around. It's what you listen to. It's what you read. It is a combination. of those things that will ultimately impact your health long term.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what you shared about the voice, right? In terms of advocacy, in terms of standing up for ourselves, right? There's something I share from the stage, and also really helping audiences recognize the power of networks, of how crucial that is, of the people that are supporting you, the people that are nurturing you and feeding you, and also challenging you, right? Not just letting you kind of not pacifying you or enabling, letting you just get by with being average or mediocre. Not that we have to perform or have to uh, excel, but if I know I have more to give, or I can take my career or whatever to a next level, I want somebody around me who can see that and draw that out of me. So just sticking on the theme of the voice, right? You being a speaker, what is that like for you when you get in front of an audience, virtual, in person, and you share, and then they might applaud, and then they want to find out more, like, hey, Cassandra, please tell me more. I want to work with you. I want to get some more info. Like, what's been that journey for you as a speaker been like?
Oh my goodness. It has been so amazing, and it's just hard to believe because I can remember the first time I spoke and it was non-academic, because as
Mm,
a gerontologist I spoke, but it was, research type stuff.
okay.
And I can remember the first time I spoke in a non-academic setting. And I was at this conference. A friend of mine did this conference every year. She asked me to speak, and I didn't consider myself a speaker at that time. I,
Okay.
I wasn't a speaker. And and so really just doing her a favor. And I could remember when it was over and people stood up and clapped,
Wow.
And I was like, and like I said, I'm new to this, so I'm like, what are they doing? And then I'm telling you, Alex, it was just, I was like, oh yeah, they, standing ovation. Wow, who thought? Um, but from that to now, after speaking, because really when you speak, and a lot of people think, oh, you're just standing on a stage, or if you're virtual, you're just sitting in your office or whatever.
Hmm.
But you pour so much of yourself um, into the audience.
Yeah.
And so when you get those moments where someone says, oh, I was ready to give up on life, and you encourage me to keep going. Or, just all these different responses. For me, it keeps me grounded, you know, and helps me to remember my why. Because I think we all have days where remembering our why is important. But it is such a beautiful thing when you're able to use your words, your voice to impact the people God has called you to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a gift. So it's really a privilege on both sides for an attendee, an audience member to be with someone who's have years of experience and condensing it into, 30, 45, 60 minutes, right? Of time. That's not a lot of
Yeah.
time for
No.
as much as we know and as much as we want to share and how to connect. And also a privilege on the other side as the person with the microphone of knowing that these words, someone's going to hear them. Someone's going to do one of these. I do this from the crowd, right? Like put a finger in the ear. It's going to go in one, but not go out the other. It's going to stay in. They're going to internalize and hopefully take action and move on it. So, with that said, right, are there some signature keynotes that you have developed, or I would love for you to
Yeah.
share like the title of those and what kind of audiences do you love speaking in front of?
Yeah. Um, a couple of my keynotes get to the root for
Mm.
ways to success. And that is a keynote designed for um, the boss woman or man who is ready to elevate to that next level, but there's still some layers to unpack within themselves on how to show up and have success on their terms. That's one of my keynotes. Um, Another keynote that I have is called The Butterfly Life, and it's all about transformation. That keynote is designed for people who know that where they're at currently, they're going to have to do a 360 in their personal as well as professional life to get to where they want to be. So we focus on transforming yourself in regard to your physical health, your mental well-being. It's a full-blown transformation with the butterfly life. And I'm currently working on a new keynote that
Yeah.
is titled Self-Love for Black Women. It's centered around the love letters to my girls book, which I'm blessed to be one of the co-authors of. And it's
Yeah.
all about knowing your worth and loving yourself as a Black woman. And it's more of a workshop series.
No, that's amazing. And I think you like hijacked my notes because that was the next in the agenda, right? So a wonderful segue. I was going to ask you about being an author and how you've been able to leverage your book into landing more stages and to creating more opportunities for your business.
Yeah. Being an author, it is really, and here's another thing, you guys, be open to opportunities. Because did I just wake up and say, I'm gonna publish a book? No, did not. As I mentioned earlier, I always loved reading. And as a kid, sometimes when I would read, I would write about what I read, and my mom or dad would read it and like, oh, that was good or whatever. So enjoyed writing as well. But as time went on, I never stopped writing, just never thought of it as a career, just knew I liked writing. And as life would have it, I was speaking at an event with Ayanna Van Zant.
Ooh. Wait, hold on, wait. We gotta pause that for a second. So you got Yana Van Zant with you. You're sharing the stage with her, right? Okay. I want to make sure people understand and can hear that. Right. This is major stuff. So carry on. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. And so, everybody
Yeah.
knew about that event. And so this publishing company reached out to me about becoming an author. And so they were like, you ever thought about being an author? And I was like, well, I have it on my bucket list to write a book. And I just so happen to have some writings. They
Yeah.
wanted a writing sample, and I had something, and I gave it to them.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that it would be my first book, but it ended up they loved it. And that was my first book, He Restored My Soul, Triumph Through Adversity. But writing, being an author, if you're able to um, focus on your subject expertise, which that's what I recommend to any speaker. If you're writing, let it be about your expertise. It's easy to like, okay, yes, I can come speak, but the audience will need additional tools and resources that them hearing you, yeah, that's great. But once they're back home in the real world, they need some tools, and your book can be one of those tools. as they continue doing the work.
That's right. And I want people to hear that, right? Of having your audience come back. They take you with them, right? Right. If I have, I was fortunate enough to co-author a best-selling book last year, and it gives you a different level. Thank you. Yeah, it gives you a different level of confidence because you get to walk in a room like, hey, I'm an author, right? It's everybody. I believe anybody and everybody can do it, but then to your point, the focus of being an expert, taking the time, the methodical, intentional time of focusing on a subject, doing your research, and also crafting in a way that it's really interesting to write for a book and write for a speech, right? Write for what people are going to read and write for what people are going to hear or experience and watch. And it's two different styles. It's two different ways you have to look at it, but the material, the content itself is still the same. It's just a different, it's an interesting style. So I've always been interested in writing. I'm named after the famous author Alexandre Dumas, so like it's in my blood, like literally to to be a writer. So I love what your mentality about let's give the audience, let's give these people some tools, not just you on the soapbox on the platform. Speak, 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 speak. All right, good luck with your life. And you run out the door, get the check, and keep it moving. No, like we want to give people a real on experience and build that network, that community of fans, of people who love what you do and are transformed or impacted in a major way by your words.
Yeah, I consider it a blessing. It is definitely a blessing. And for those who may be watching or listening, your storms, I never thought in a million years that being diagnosed with systemic lupus, having challenges in pregnancy and losing a baby and, just all these various things, that would birth what I'm doing today. However, during your storm, there is always, always, always lessons to be learned. So if you find yourself in a storm right now, don't rush. Don't rush it away. Don't wish it away. Learn. What, why is this, why am I experiencing this? What lessons should I learn from this? And use that to impact others
Yeah.
once you're in a healed space, which the healing is ongoing, but you'll know when you're at a space where you're able to mentally, emotionally, spiritually cover someone else.
Yeah. I've heard if a mentor said that you're either coming out of a storm or you're going into one, right? That's kind of how life
Yeah.
works itself out at times. And I'm curious, if I just kind of going backwards, we're going to rewind a little bit, but where did you develop that mindset of seeing, I call it like looking at the opportunities through the obstacles, right? Of like how'd you find that? Because it could be easy to be like, wow, life sucks. This is happening to me. This is how it's always gonna be. Nothing I can do about it. Oh well, throw my hands and boo hoo, too sad, all that. But I venture to think that someone or some people in your life influence you to have this kind of resilient mind.
Yeah. My grandmother, who's no longer here, but my grandmother Gladys Hill, she was such, oh my goodness, such an inspiration, such an encourager in my life. And I can recall in my younger days, like barely teen days, she would just always have these words of encouragement and always saw something in me. Like she didn't live to see me become an entrepreneur. She did live to see me finish graduate school and enter corporate America and stuff. But she always saw something in me that when I would have those hard days, a lot of what she said would be in my mind. Of course, trusting God and just knowing that He's not going to allow me to have a experience and not be able to make it through it. Um, and then I've been blessed with a great sisterhood. Community is so important. The people you're around, I would say the people you spend the most time with, those 3 to 5 people, you're like, you know. So very thankful to have a community. My sister, Catherine, Angela, just so many sisters who we uplift and encourage one another. But yeah.
There's that old saying, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right?
Yeah.
Before we fly the coop on this episode, let's see what I did there. Look at tying it in. No. I'd love for folks to connect with you and learn more about your work. Where can we find books? How can we just stay tapped in with this journey of who this wonderful Cassandra Hill is?
Yeah, the easiest way to stay plugged into me would be to go to my link tree, and that's Linktree /Hiller Cassandra. There you'll find links for all my social media, resources to support you on your journey to becoming your best self, as well as books, services, all those things you'll find there on my link tree /Hiller Cassandra.
Yeah, you'll be able to find those on the show notes and stuff. And I'd be remiss before we jump off to send a quick acknowledgement and shout out to Black Speakers Network. So Brian Olds, he's the one who connected us and put us together. So I want to just give another thank you for another amazing guest. So keep them coming. I love to interview. I love to share and showcase and highlight beautiful minds of color, beautiful stories, and people who are making a real impact and difference. And I just want to salute you and congratulate you, Cassandra. Of course, having these obstacles, having these challenges, right? Nobody wishes a child's life to be gone or have a health scare that and go through pain and all the different things you have to go through. But I also want to offer a congratulations that you you use that for good. You use that to improve your life, and now you're helping other people improve their lives. And it was put on you for a reason, right? It didn't happen to you. I think it happened for you. And as a result, you get to have the success. So congratulations on all that.
Thanks so much, Alex. And I want to thank you for the invitation. Again, shout out to Brian. You're doing amazing work with Black Speakers Network, and I'm happy to be connected to BSN. And I don't take it for granted. Anytime I'm on any platform, this is your child, So I thank you for the invite and trusting me to share my nuggets with your people.
Yes, for sure. So as I often say, right, our stories matter, our voices matter, and I'm so glad that we got a chance to hear yours, and now we get a chance to share it with the world. So for all that said and done, we are gonna wrap up. And for you who are watching, you who are listening, rewatch this a couple of times, share with your network if you got some value from this, leave some comments in the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next month. Take care, stay blessed. Thanks for watching this episode. If you got value from this, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. And feel free to connect with us at bipoccc.org. See you next time.